How do you think this team will be remembered all the time? Because I look at all the numbers and the metrics and the analytics, and it's like, really, this is legit one of the most efficient, as far as the numbers go, teams and dominant teams of all time. But I don't really believe anyone will look at them that way. Although I've gone on record as saying I think history will be kind to this championship team. I don't know if we fully appreciate them in the moment because it looks different than what we're used to. We're used to seeing the alpha player put his team on his back, kind of like what Luka did with the Mavs, and win it. This team's a little more kumbaya, all for one for all kind of style. And it works, but it's just not what we're used to seeing in the NBA. So I think they don't get the props maybe they deserve in the moment, at least outside of this town. But I do think as time goes on and you look at these numbers and obviously in basketball and all sports, we appreciate the history of the game. I think that will prop them up a little bit higher. But I'll say this, it also could be we look back on, okay, that was the first of many, right? They went on to win 2 or 3 or 4 more titles. This was the one that got the weight off of their back a little bit, right? So I just wonder, how do you think this team will be remembered all time?
I think it's interesting. I think for me as a younger guy, this is one of the best NBA teams I've seen, and one of the best Celtics teams that I've seen and that I've followed. So it is kind of interesting, the difference between the generations on this one. And I do think that the prime narrative outside of the city of Boston is inevitably going to be that the Celtics had an easy path to get there. It's inevitably going to be the Celtics were facing injured teams. They didn't face the Nuggets, whatever this, whatever that. That's probably what the they hate us because they ain't us narrative is going to be. We saw that with the Patriots. We've seen that with the Red Sox. We've seen that with the Boston Bruins. That's a Boston thing. That's just what the outside perspective is on Boston sports. But you have to remember, Travis, that this banner, this ring, cements the Celtics as the most in the history of the NBA. Right?
That's right.
That it was stagnant for so long with Los Angeles because they won so many in the times that the Celtics just weren't since 2008 and since the early mid 90s. So that's something that's going to be etched into the stone of history. That's a huge part of it. And also the statistical part of things that we've talked about before and that you just mentioned. This team, statistically speaking, is up there. I believe I was reading that it's stats-wise top 3, and it's close. Like, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. And in this age that we live in, with the media circulation, with people kind of in social media not seeing the bigger picture and focusing on chasing narratives and chasing headlines, the headline is probably going to be that this Celtics team didn't deserve it or they didn't earn it. Maybe something like that. I think we could quash that right here, right now with this conversation, Travis, and say they absolutely did earn it. They absolutely did deserve it. Just because a team is good enough to win as many playoff games as they did in a row doesn't mean that they don't deserve to win a ring or to win a championship. And I think as we go along, and I think you made a great point, as history continues, as seasons happen, as playoff teams, either the Celtics or not the Celtics, do not win all of their series in as dominant fashion as this Celtics team did, history is going to see, wow, what an accomplishment, sweeping the Pacers in the conference finals, coming in and winning the first 3 games, then winning game 5 at home here against Dallas. That's not something you see every day. It's not something you see every year. It may not be something we see for another 5 years in the NBA. That's how special this is. But I do think it'll take some time for the public at large, for the national sports media to see that about this Celtics team.
Yeah, that's well said. No one's going to go through in the history and fine tooth comb and say, well, this player was out during this year. No one's going to look at that. They're just going to look at the numbers and say they mopped everyone in front of them, including the Mavericks in 5. So that's well said. By the way, for more Celtics championship coverage, check out Hold My Banner, hosted by yours truly. Tune in on Nesson's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow us on all your social media accounts for all of our best content. And also call us, 617-790-0928. We always play your voicemails here on the show. You can email us, thechat@nesson.com. And finally, tweet us because Cullen, Twitter was jumping championship night round here. Let's get to them because I loved everything I was seeing on Twitter. I was laughing all night long. How about this Tatum coming out like Lil Yachty, baby? The Celtics are NBA champions. Now, Cullen, listen, you and I both are hip-hop fans. Lil Yachty has no song, no album, no body of work that warrants this type of entrance in any concert. But Jason Tatum does, damn it. Woo!
Oh, absolutely he does. I mean, look, I was looking at the tweets too in the lead up to the finals, in the lead up to this game, and during this game, and all I was seeing was pure elation and pure joy because that's what this is, and that's what this tweet kind of signifies is that everyone in and around this area, everyone who's a Celtics fan has been waiting for this moment for, however many years, since 2008 and even past that with this Celtics team. So that's why it's so great to be able to see these tweets. It's amazing. And you mentioned Lil Yachty, maybe throw Kendrick Lamar out there, whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I think this Celtics win, and I'm so excited we're going to be looking at some more tweets. This is just some really cool stuff.
Absolutely. Let's keep them going. I mean, the tweets were flying in. So look at Brad Stevens as Thanos.
Now this one is good.
And all the rings are his players. Celtics, we were inevitable. This is from Hurricane Man.
And I love this one, too, because it signifies every single piece coagulating to the whole, because that's, I'm a huge Marvel guy. I'm kind of a nerd in that regard. That's what Thanos was all about. He was all about kind of destroying, but he was bringing all the Infinity Stones together, and that's what Brad Stevens did. That's what he did, and he was inevitable because when he saw the obstacle, when this team saw the obstacle, what did they do? They swept it. They crushed it. They demolished it. And the term that we used, Travis, I think it was 2 months ago, we used sacrificial lambs to talk about the Cavs, to talk about the Heat, and, to talk about the Pacers. That's what this is, and that's what this tweet signifies. Is like, this Celtics team was always going to get the job done. Always. It was not a question, because that's the team that Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla built.
What's a glove called? A gauntlet, right? Am I making that? Am I saying that right? There we go.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
There we go, baby. Look at me.
Oh,
Joe Mazzulla was on that thing, too. All right, here it is. Break up Tatum and Brown. And then there's a trophy there. This is from Sam Block. This is when they were youngsters, and now they have gone from boys to men, Cullen.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is what we just talked about with Tatum and Brown. They've grown into this together. They've grown into their roles together. This team is not Tatum's team or Brown's team. It's the Jays team. And that's why you mentioned, it's not a singular face, a singular force vaulting a team over the top. But this makes it double the more special because it's two guys that we've watched grow and develop over the years. And they're not going to be broken up because you mentioned the Tatum contract. We talked about Brown's contract. This pair, this dynamic duo is going to be together for a very, very long time, and things are going to just get even better from here. And seeing this picture of them as youngsters, and now we're going to see pictures of them holding the NBA Finals trophy together and with those rings together next season. It's just going to be so impactful.
Now, one thing that never gets old to me is a crying Jordan meme, and seeing this tweet from Lance, the crying Jordan meme with the Mavs hat on. Oh, this one sent me, Cullen. I love a crying Jordan more than anyone else.
And this one was even better because I saw all the Mavs fan tweets after Game 4 saying, this Celtics team ain't nothing. We're going to come back to their place and we're going to crush them again. It's going to be 30-point deficits all throughout the rest of the finals. And then we see this, and then we see the way this game in Game 5 started. And I didn't see too many Mavs fans tweets after the way that Game 5 started, and after Peyton Pritchard absolutely smoked a half-court shot at halftime. The tweets were pretty silent after that one. And let's just take a second about Peyton Pritchard. Oh, my goodness. He loves those half-court shots. What a time to get one here in Game 5 of the Finals.
He earned that ring, brother. Next tweet. How about this? Drew Holiday
oh, my goodness.
Consoling Marcus Smart this. It's Magic and Isaiah making up. This is fantastic work right here. I love Twitter.
I mean, Twitter's undefeated. It always is. Whenever it's any big event, Twitter is undefeated. And Marcus Smart, you know what? It had to happen for the Celtics, right? It had to. Without that deal, without Smart leaving the team and what came back, we might not be having this conversation. So